Everyone knows bees die when they sting. It's common knowledge, the kind of fact you learn as a child and never question. The bee stings you, loses its stinger, flies away, and dies. Quite simple, right? The bee sacrifices itself to defend the hive. Except that's not exactly how it happens. What actually happens is so much worse that if you saw it, if you really saw it, up close in detail, you'd never look at a bee the same way again. The death is not instant. It's not painless. It's not a noble sacrifice that ends in a quick, merciful death. It's brutal, slow, and I guarantee you, it's not what you think. Let's start with the stinger itself, because that's where everything goes wrong. The honeybee's stinger is covered in tiny barbs, microscopic hooks that angle backward like harpoon tips. Under a microscope, they look almost decorative, delicate, but they're anything but. Each barb is positioned at a precise angle, designed to catch and hold. In the wild, this works perfectly. When a bee stings another insect, a wasp, a hornet, a beetle, anything with a thin exoskeleton, the stinger slides in, delivers venom, and pulls out clean. The barbs are small enough that they don't catch on the hard, smooth surface of chitin. The bee survives. The target doesn't. Evolution designed it that way. It's been working for millions of years. But mammals are different. We have thick skin, layers of it, epidermis, dermis, subcutaneous tissue, and it's not smooth. It's elastic, fibrous. When that barbed stinger punches through, it doesn't just penetrate, it gets tangled. Those barbs that slide so cleanly through insect armor, they catch on our tissue like fishhooks in cloth. They dig in, they anchor. So when the bee tries to pull away, the stinger doesn't come out. Her legs push against your skin for leverage. Her wings beat frantically. And then, her entire abdomen rips off. Not just the stinger. The stinger, yes, but also the venom sac, the venom gland, part of her digestive tract, her abdominal muscles, the nerves that controlled all of it. Everything from roughly the midpoint of her body backward. All of it. Gone. Torn away in a single violent separation. This isn't a designed detachment point like a lizard's tail. You can see the tear, the pale, glistening organs that were never meant to see daylight. She flies away with her guts hanging out of her body, trailing behind her like ribbons, still connected by threads of membrane and muscle. Now, you'd think that's it. How could anything survive? You've just lost half your body. Surely that's incompatible with life. But here's the thing. Her nervous system is still intact. Her brain is still functioning. The ganglia, the nerve clusters that control her wings, her legs, her basic motor functions, they're still firing. She's still conscious, and she can still fly, at least for a little while. You might see her land on a nearby flower, crawl a few inches, try to groom herself, a behavior so deeply ingrained that even now, mutilated and dying, she tries to clean her antennae, tries to orient herself, but she's bleeding out. Slowly. Honeybees don't have blood the way we do. They have hemolymph, a pale, clear fluid that carries nutrients and waste, but doesn't transport oxygen. Her body is shutting down piece by piece. Her muscles start to fail as they run out of energy. Her movements become sluggish, uncoordinated. She might fall off the flower, try to fly and only manage a few feet before crash landing. It takes minutes, sometimes hours, depending on the severity of the tear and how much of her digestive system she lost. There's no shock response to numb the pain. Insects don't have that mercy. No emergency shutdown, no unconsciousness, just a slow, inevitable failure of every system she has left. She feels it, every second of it, until her brain finally runs out of glucose, her nerves stop firing, and she stops moving. But here's what makes this even more disturbing. While the bee is dying somewhere out of sight, crawling through grass or collapsed under a leaf, her stinger is still working, still attacking, still fighting the battle she started. Because that stinger you're looking at, still embedded in your skin, it's not just a piece of keratin, it's not dead tissue. It's a functioning biological system, and it has its own nervous system, its own ganglia, its own programming. The muscles around the venom sac are still contracting, pushing more venom into you with every pulse. You can see it if you look closely. The rhythmic movement, the sac compressing and expanding, like a tiny heart beating in your skin. They don't need the bee's brain to do this. They're autonomous, self-contained. Those nerve clusters can fire on their own. They're programmed, hardwired by millions of years of evolution, to keep attacking until the venom sac is completely empty. And that takes about 10 minutes. 10 minutes of rhythmic pumping. 10 minutes of venom delivery. The same amount of venom the bee would have injected if she'd stayed attached. Maybe more, because there's no feedback system telling the muscles to stop. No brain saying, "That's enough." Just a simple mechanical process, until there's nothing left to inject. All while the bee that left it behind is either dying or already dead. She might be gone, but her weapon is still fighting. So why does she do it? Why sting at all if she knows it'll kill her? Because she does know, and she does it anyway. Only female bees can sting. The stinger itself is a modified ovipositor, an egg-laying organ that evolution repurposed into a weapon. Male bees don't have one. They can't defend the hive. Only the females can. And most of those females are workers, sterile. They'll never lay eggs. They'll never have offspring of their own. Evolution turned them into soldiers. And soldiers have one job. Bees don't sting unless they have to. If you've ever had a bee buzz around you, land on your arm, crawl across your hand, that's a bee choosing not to sting. They'll warn you first. They'll try to scare you off. They'll do everything they can to avoid it. But if you get too close to the hive, if you threaten the queen, if you're a danger to the colony, she makes a choice. Die now to protect the hive, or fly away and let everything she was born to defend be destroyed. And when she stings, her body releases a chemical signal, a pheromone. It smells faintly like bananas if you're close enough to notice. But to other bees, it's a message. It's a call to arms, a war cry, and it works. Other bees pick up the scent and swarm. They sting, they die, and they release the same signal, on and on until the threat is gone or the hive is wiped out. But what about the hive itself? What happens there when she doesn't come back? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The hive doesn't keep track of individual bees. There's no roll call, no attendance. In a colony of 40,000 workers, one missing bee doesn't register. The numbers are too large, the turnover too constant. During summer, worker bees die every day. They work themselves to death. Their wings fray. Their bodies wear out. They drop dead mid-flight or collapse in a field somewhere and never make it home. The hive expects this, plans for it. The queen lays up to 2,000 eggs a day during peak season. New workers are constantly being born, constantly replacing the ones that fall. So, when one doesn't return from a foraging trip or from defending the hive, the colony doesn't notice. The work continues. The dance floor stays crowded with bees communicating flower locations. The nurse bees keep feeding larvae. The builders keep making comb. Life goes on, because the hive isn't a family in the way we understand it. It's a superorganism, one entity made of thousands of bodies, and individual bodies are just cells, replaceable cells. She mattered when she was alive because she was working, collecting, building, defending. But the moment she's gone, that function is filled by another bee. Life goes on. She was replaceable. Her life was never about her. It was about the colony, and the colony doesn't need her specifically. It just needs workers. Her own survival instinct is what kills her, because individual survival was never the priority. The hive was, the hive is, and the hive always will be. So yeah, the way honeybees die is kinda terrifying. But here's the thing about honeybees. At least their death serves a purpose. Some creatures don't get that mercy, like queen termites, because the queen doesn't die defending the colony. She dies betrayed by it. After 50 years of service, after laying millions of eggs, after building an empire, her own children turn on her. The honeybee dies for her family. The termite queen dies because of hers. If you thought this was brutal, you need to see that. And I promise you, it's not what you expect. See you there.